everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of Tomb of Terrors. I'm your host, Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another episode, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review over in your favorite podcast app, or you can become a patron, patreon.com/oldmanbrad. And also make sure you follow me over on Letterboxd. Just look for Old Man Brad, and you can see all the watches that I do. Some are questionable, I'll just say that. Well, this episode, I have an interview, I want to say straight out of Fantastic Fest, but almost. I talked to the writer and director of Bad Haircut. We talked right before Fantastic Fest kicked off, so you won't get to hear how that experience went. Also joined by producer on the film. So we talked through Bad Haircut, how they came up with the idea, and just, everything about this wildly, honestly fun movie. But before we dive into Bad Haircut, I want to say come out to Frightful Fridays on the third Friday of the month. If you're in the Cincinnati area, the Esquire Theater on the third Friday of the month is the place to be. So thankful to be partnered with the Esquire to host a horror screening once a month. We just screened The Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead from 1981. Almost sold out crowd. It was a blast. It was so much fun being able to see this film up on the big screen for the first time. Come out in October. On October 17th, we will be showing one of the movies that has been the most requested when I'm asking crowds what we should screen, and that is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. Many people have told me you need to get Halloween 3 because they want to see it up on the big screen. And we are on October 17th. We will finally be watching Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So come out to the Esquire at 10 p.m. and let's watch a movie together. All right, let's go get ourselves a bad haircut. When a college kid goes to a new place to get a haircut, he discovers that his barber is a psychopath. It is written and directed by Kyle Misak, and it stars Spencer Harrison Levine, Frankie Ray, Beau Miniar, Michael Bonini, and many others. This just had its world premiere at Fantastic Fest. It played at Fantastic Fest last week, and I think the day this episode drops, I think it has one more screening. But I'm going to tell you right up front that you should watch for this one, because it is just a fun movie. It's hilarious. It is a movie that didn't go how I expected. We'll dive a little bit more into that after my interview with Kyle and Jon. So let's go ahead and dive into that, and I will talk to you on the other side. Have you ever gone to the barber and things didn't go so well? Well, in Bad Haircut, which is having its world premiere at Fantastic Fest, our main character is having himself a day. Here to chat about their worst haircut experiences are writer-director of Bad Haircut, Kyle Misak, and producer Jon Petro. How you guys doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, man.
Doing pretty good. So how did you come up with the idea for Bad Haircut?
The movie is based on a barber that I had in real life. And so we basically just thought he was such a character and belonged in a movie. And so he was really the catalyst for writing a story around that personality.
Did he sing songs to you and all that?
He would dance to the music. Yep, dance to the music, and had a lot of catchphrases that you hear in the movie, and just had that very much the aura that that Mick has in Bad Haircut. He really embodied that.
So you, at least on that side, you have this mix of comedy, thriller, there's some action in there, some horror, a big mix. And how did you go about kind of balancing all that?
So Jon and I, we talked a lot about early on kind of inspirations and things. And tonally, the movie that inspired us the most for this was a movie called Disturbia, and it came out when I was in middle school. And I always loved that movie because it was unlike anything I'd really seen before in terms of genre blending. And I didn't recognize it at the time, but looking back, I think that was part of why I liked it so much, is that you had all the suspenseful moments. It was a thriller, but it also had a lot of situational humor, a lot of it to do with the casting of Shia LaBeouf. He was just really funny in that. And some of the other characters had their comedic moments as well. And then you had the romance thread of the girl next door sort of thing. So I think being a teenager, all of those elements were just really entertaining to watch, and you could put yourself in Shia LaBeouf's shoes, his character's shoes, and feel like it was just a fun movie to watch with your friends. So in doing Bad Haircut, we really wanted to try to do a movie that had that same kind of tone, that would be a fun movie to watch with your friends on the weekend, that you would quote and have one-liners and things like that. I mean, there's a certain element of you can never predict what things are going to stick and what will be those memorable lines and all of that. But I think we tried to put the ingredients in and work within a genre blend that we thought was going to lend itself to being that kind of a movie.
And I will tell you, I didn't know fully what to expect going in. Like I didn't look up really much of anything for it because I like to go in fairly blind. When it starts out like this college frat movie, you're like, okay, what am I in for here? And then it kind of changes on you. Can you speak a little to like the cast that you had, because they kind of really play off each other very well? How you found your cast and kind of how they worked together?
We auditioned over 1,000 people. We spent a lot of time in the casting process. It mattered a lot to us, so we really wanted to find people that were going to be believable and do a great job. Kyle, you can speak probably more to that, the initial casting process. And then once we had the cast, there's more to it than that. We took some steps and things to make sure that there was chemistry and whatnot. But I guess casting, Spencer, I think I don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about that, like the early stuff with casting?
Yeah. Like Jon was saying, I mean, the obviously outside of Mick, the other very, very important role was Billy, and finding someone that was going to be just the perfect fit, because we knew we needed someone that was not only a good actor from just like a talent standpoint, but we also wanted somebody that was going to be really funny, because we had a lot of people audition that were good actors or decent actors, and some that were, really solid actors, but they lacked that sense of just that intuition of comedy, and feeling like they were either trying too hard or they were just pushing it in way too much of a dramatic role, where this movie would have felt like just like a really dark drama thriller kind of thing. And that's just not what we wanted. We wanted someone that could bring that kind of that light, I don't want to say light energy, but just kind of that endearing quality to the character, and make him feel like you could see yourself in his shoes and empathize with him, but also find him funny. And so the story we keep telling is, I had the opportunity to talk with the director of Disturbia and just talk to him about how he went about casting that movie. And he talked about how, I told him, he asked me who I was looking for, what I was looking for in the character and stuff. And I told him I wanted Shia LaBeouf from Disturbia. I wanted a 19-year-old Shia LaBeouf. That's who I wanted for the movie. And he told me when he was making Disturbia, he wanted a 19-year-old Jon Cusack, but that didn't exist anymore. And so he had to find the next Jon Cusack. And now 19-year-old Shia LaBeouf doesn't exist anymore, so you got to find the next Shia LaBeouf. So it was kind of this task for Jon and I to just do whatever we could, because we knew there was a handful of actors that were in the age range of what we were looking for that were like super famous. And there were a couple that we thought, they could be really great, but chances of getting them are going to be tough. But even though we even did attach one of them at one point and then things didn't work out, there was just a lack of a certain comedic element that we're still searching for. And like Jon said, we auditioned a ton of people, eventually came across Spencer Harrison Levin's a commercial that he was in. And he struck me as being very funny, genuinely funny, made me laugh. We auditioned him, and I remember when I sent the audition to Jon, after I'd watched it, Jon just responded over a text and he said, "Bro, ... And we both just knew he had this quality, that kind of intangible lightning in a bottle thing where it's like, this guy is our guy. And then he just proved us right when we were on set. And even before that, we did a cast retreat and table reads and things. But especially when we got on set and we filmed that first scene with him, and he was just magnetic. And it's hard to describe because he makes it look so effortless, and his role is he's playing the everyday man, but he was just so incredibly on it, and it just knew how to convey the emotion, but also make it funny in this believable way. And he's the kind of guy in real life, he will make you laugh all the time. He's so funny. And so are the other guys like RJ and Bo and even Nora. Like they just had this chemistry together. And a lot of that is credited to, we did a cast retreat. Jon had this idea to get them all together prior to shooting months before and spend 5 days on a lake. And Jon, you can kind of jump into that whole experience.
We got them together, and the idea was just that we wanted it to, the hope was that they would build a relationship that would translate onto set and on screen, they would seem like genuine friends and they had a believable relationship. And then the risk was that one of them would be a diva or that they wouldn't get along and it would be a catastrophe. And thankfully, they got along really well. They were like teary-eyed and stuff when they left, and they would text. And that was like 3 months before we shot the film. So it worked out great. Yeah, I think because of that, it's one of those things, like sometimes that can work to your favor and sometimes maybe not. But for us, it really did. And I think because of that, they had this like bond. And that translated with also our relationship with them, because it is so hard to making a movie. It's really challenging. So I think it was we were fortunate to kind of have this trust and loyalty and that relationship with them. And hopefully that helped also translate it on screen and looking like they had real chemistry.
And you mentioned going through casting of like, they might not, they could hit the drama, but it's that comedic timing, knowing when to properly land a joke and make it work. They all had that timing in the movie because I laughed multiple times. I can tell you that through the whole film. Now you add in Frankie Ray as your barber. How did you come across casting your Mick?
This is the question everybody wants to know.
Yeah, it sure do.
A whole long story, but basically, to give the cliff notes, it was actually written with somebody else in mind. Like I said, it was based on a real person. And there was a pretty notable character actor who's been in a lot of movies, pretty famous, that I'd written the part for. And John and I and our production designer, Don, we went out to New York to meet with this actor. It was looking like it was going to work out. And through a series of events, it just didn't. And it just wasn't going to work. And so we kind of hit the drawing board looking for other actors. We auditioned different people, found another really notable character actor that we really liked from Australia. We went through the process of getting him a work visa. We brought him on board. We were doing table reads. And just 3 weeks before filming, he had a really serious health scare, which he's fine now. But at the time, it was really, really not looking good. And he wasn't able to travel. And so last minute, we had to try to find someone. We had everyone else cast. We're 3 weeks away from flying everyone here. Our co-producer, Jesse Charles, was looking. We were all looking, trying to audition stuff in the midst of the actors' strike. So nobody's really auditioning because they're not really allowed to. Through just casting calls and searching, sifting through every profile that we could find, Jesse came across Frankie Ray's demo reel on Actors Access. He sent it to John and I was like, wow, he's eerily similar to the real life person in terms of his aesthetic, his look, some of the demo stuff that he had in there, like emotional stuff that he was doing. It reminded me of this person. So we auditioned him. It was terrific, what we were looking for. But then really once we got him into wardrobe and he was on set, like we just threw him in there and we had a week of rehearsals with him once everyone was here. So we had time to kind of rehearse and find the voice and have a chance to kind of do blocking and things like that. He just kind of became Mick. He was that kind of energy throughout the whole thing. And we were just really fortunate because it kind of, even though it took us forever to get to him, I can't imagine anybody else playing that role except him, because he just embodied exactly what the movie needed, where it was this person that believed that he was living in a tragedy, like a drama of just a love story, wanting love. But for Mick to be blinded to that and everyone else to see, wow, this guy's insane for doing what he's doing, it made him in this weird way kind of this endearing factor to him, which we tried to kind of foster and create, but we weren't sure because he's doing such terrible things if this is going to work. But really credit to Frankie for bringing that kind of, again, any other actor, like same thing with Billy, where it could have gone just drama and no comedy. With Frankie, it could have gone so dark that it just felt like too much of Silence of the Lambs or too much of a slasher thing where there's no heart and there's nothing nuanced or complicated about him. He's just a villain. And we wanted something that was deeper and more complicated and more interesting and unpredictable than that. And I think Frankie really delivered on that.
What the vibe on set when you guys were filming? Were there, I mean, being comedic, and you said that after hanging out, they really love cracking jokes and stuff like that. Did it just like carry over? Did they improv a lot too? In
terms of camaraderie and relationships and how people got along, in terms of, like, specifically with the cast, yeah, it was great. I mean, I think the thing that happened that we intentionally did with the cast retreat was that that core group of people knew each other. Frankie wasn't involved in that cast retreat. So they were separated there, and they met when we started doing rehearsals on set. But that was intentional. And so I think the energy on set was great. I think that everyone got along well, and it was a lot of fun. But like any other movie, it's extremely challenging. So everyone gets along until you're on hour 14 and you're behind or whatever's going on. You know, everything you name it, it's a movie. It goes on for a month and a half. Something's breaking every couple of days, right?
How long was this shoot?
It was about 6 weeks.
We shot majority of it in Michigan. We built the primary sets from scratch. So they're in like a warehouse, like our version of a sound stage, but basically a warehouse to control lighting and sound. Mm-hmm. And then we built the basement, the lower level of the barbershop and the barbershop interior from scratch. We were in Indiana as well for a few weeks. And that's where we did like the climax of the movie.
To answer your question about improvisation, yeah, that was so much of the movie was improvised actually. Like Mick, we always did this thing with Frankie where we would do it as scripted, but then the last take, we'd say, all right, do an artist take is what we called it. And he would just kind of slip into Mick and things would just happen. Like he would stay in line with what the story was demanding, but he would say things that just weren't there and just were so much more interesting or unpredictable or within that character that honestly, I don't know if there's anything in the movie that made it in that wasn't an artist take, to be honest, because we did that for every shot. And it was always the most interesting, funny takes or scary takes, like whatever the scene demanded, it just was magnetic. And then with the guys, so much of that banter that you see, I mean, they came up with so many of those jokes. And some of them were created during the cast retreat when they were ripping on each other in real life. And they kind of carried over into the movie. A lot of times, like in the barbershop at the beginning, there was a sequence that wasn't really quite working the way that I envisioned it. So we literally just stuck the camera on them from a couple angles. And we're like, all right, guys, we just need you to sit in these chairs while Miss Willett's getting the haircut and just need you guys to riff. Just improvise. You guys are so funny. We're going to just roll it and then you guys go. So everything that happens in them sitting in those chairs in that beginning bit is all just them improvising lines. And we ran it for probably 20 minutes. And picked the best stuff, and it was just really funny, and stuff in the car and the climax at the end. I mean, so many things. They were just Bo, RJ, Spencer. They are all uniquely gifted comedians in their own right. They are so funny, and again, like even with I mentioned Spencer with Bo, trying to find someone for Sonny was really really difficult as well, because not only did this guy need to be a good actor, he also had to be funny, but not in the same way as Billy was. And this guy also needed to be cool. To find somebody that's genuinely that cool, Bo is just the epitome of cool. I don't know if that's something you can really fabricate or ask an actor to do. You just either are or you're not. And Bo is 100% just cool to his bones. And so knowing that he just carried that persona with him in real life, he was the guy for that. And, also just a very, very funny person. And then RJ, that was a role that was difficult to cast as well. So like, how do we find a friend character that's going to feel like he has a different sense of humor, but will click with these guys and also be super, super funny and have a different kind of energy? And I found RJ I don't know if I Googled an article came up or something, and it led me to his social media, and I saw a skit video that he filmed and thought he was so funny. So John and I asked him to audition. And then he sent in his auditions. We're like, I don't know if this guy can act, but he's really funny. And then he did his audition, and we're like, oh, he really can act. Like he's really good. I mean, he's done a lot of skits and stuff. And then same thing, I want to give credit to Nora too, because she was such a trooper, and she brought she has actually a lot of improvised lines as well, where she would say things or do things or have nuanced facial expressions and give us different options. And she was really good at conveying so much with her eyes or an expression, and just the subtleties of her performance. And having to do some really difficult things with Mick's character and balance that tension with him, and knowing how to keep a dramatic tone. We told her, like, you never want to wink at the audience, like never make it feel like you're in on the joke when something is ridiculous, like Mick's doing something ridiculous. Keep it like grounded, and she did so good at that, and had such chemistry with Billy, Spencer, in the film, especially towards the end. Just really proud of her and all of them. They were John and I keep saying it, we feel so fortunate. We had just the best cast, and that's really what makes the movie, in our opinion.
Now you got it together. You're getting ready to premiere at Fantastic Fest. How is that vibe, and what do you hope that the audiences of Fantastic Fest get from from Bad Haircut? Was it like when you found out you were in, was it like oh, heck yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited to be a part of it. And I mean, I think it's just really cool to be able to see it for the first time with an audience that has no idea what they're in for. It kind of gives us the option or the ability to watch it with a fresh perspective again. When you watch it with someone, you kind of see it vicariously through them. And so it's fun to kind of re-experience it in that way. But I don't know, John, what do you think?
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm really excited about this festival. I mean, our sales team, like this is a one that we wanted to get into, that one that they wanted us to get into, that we were fortunate, lucky enough that we did. We know a decent amount about it. I know that it's an awesome festival, so we're stoked to be there. But yeah, like Kyle said, the biggest thing is just like, after all the work and everything, all the stuff, getting through post and everything, we trimmed it down. It started 2.5 hours. Now it's where it is. And so all this stuff, getting it to where it is now to sit and we've seen it 1,000 times. So we're kind of inside the box, like Kyle was saying. So it's like, it's one of those cool things that only watching it with in a theater with people. And this is different. We've done some private test screenings for folks in LA and here. So to get feedback to help us cut it down. Some of the folks in Michigan weren't so far removed. This is different. This is a film festival. So these people are here. They're moviegoers at heart, so it's like, this is kind of the thing, man. It's exciting. It's a little nerve wracking, because it's like you're sitting there and we hope people really enjoy it. It's an adventure, a roller coaster ride, and it's fun.
I hope the audience enjoys it. Anyone listening, watch for Bad Haircut because it is just a fun time. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's all that. Like, I didn't know what to expect going in, and I enjoyed my ride.
Appreciate it.
I want to thank you guys so much for chatting with me and wish you all the best with Bad Haircut. And where can people follow along to you guys, to the movie, to kind of see where it's going after this?
Yeah, you can follow us on social media. The best place to go is Instagram. So you can follow our Instagram. It's at Bad Haircut, the movie. We'll keep everyone posted with press and kind of just like the future of the film, distribution, where they can see it. There's a lot of cool behind the scenes, hopefully cool. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff on there now, just different insights in the film. It's a fun place, but most importantly, that's where people can go to keep up to date on what's going on in the film.
But yeah, as we set a release date and get closer to that, then there will be updates on where people can watch it. I'm sure eventually the trailer will drop on there, clips, things like that. We're just kind of in the early stage now of this is the first time Fantastic Fest anybody's seeing it. And so there's, we're trying to kind of play things close to the chest until we know when it's coming out. Yeah.
Well, guys, I wish you the best with this movie, and thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I'm going to thank Kyle and John for taking time out of their day again to talk with me. It was right before they headed out to Fantastic Fest. Hopefully their screening went very well. I've seen some reviews out there. It seems like people were enjoying the film, which I did. I had fun with the film. I thought it was really funny. And before we went in the interview, I told you this was a movie I wasn't expecting what we got, because it starts out as this like college frat party, kind of feel like you're in Can't Hardly Wait or a film like that. So you have like the jock that's just an asshole making fun of our main character. He's got a buddy who's like the cool guy. You have your, high school / college comedy trope characters there at the beginning. And I was laughing because it just made me think of those films that I watched when I was younger. And it kind of set up the tone for the film of like, okay, this is what we're, okay, let's go. And then you get to the barbershop and we meet Mick for the first time, played by Frankie Ray. And he's like this mix of Dee Snider and Iggy Pop. That's the best way to describe him. He really gets into this haircut, and the lines, the line delivery is so funny. I know they talk to it in the interview of, finding your actors that can do the comedy, and everybody in this film, their timing is good. Nora Freetley, who plays Sam, she's another big character in the movie. The interactions between her and Mick and her and Billy, who Mick calls him Brad the whole time. It's so funny. Like their interactions and their timing the comedic timing works. I was laughing multiple times throughout the movie. I found it really funny. After our interview, they asked me what I thought my favorite scene was. And there's a scene in a shoe store with Billy's friends that I just found really funny. And they're like, oh, really? That scene? Why that scene? I don't know if it's because I used to work in a shoe store, so I just found it even more funny. But yeah, the comedy in this just hits. And then you get this whole twist with Mick. A hitman comes after him. It turns into like a chase, and and then there's like almost horror elements where he's got people locked up in a basement. Like, I don't want to give much more than that away. I just want to tell you to go check out Bad Haircut when it comes out. Put it on a watch list because it's just funny and pure entertainment. So add Bad Haircut to that watch list. Watch for it coming out here in the future. As this is one, straight out of Fantastic Fest. I don't know when it might get a release. It's one of those, make sure you follow their Instagram, Bad Haircut, the movie. I'll link it in the description to find out when they get distribution, when it might be released to the world. I don't have a double feature to go with this one this week. Even they mentioned it in the interview, Disturbia. I guess you could pair those two together in as your double feature. There you go. The director picked the double feature for this week, Disturbia with Bad Haircut. Well, that will do it for this episode of Tomb of Terrors. Just make sure you subscribe to the show and you'll never miss any episode that comes out, whether it's these interviews, whether it's recaps of festivals, short reviews, versus Tales from TV, all the things. Because you want to be ready for October that is coming up. I have another big October in the works with 5 episodes, 5 special guests over 5 weeks in October. It's going to be the anthology of horrors, but make sure you subscribe and you won't miss it. I'll be back soon with my recap, my full recap of what I watched at Fantastic Fest. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.